All right, U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg on Monday announced a proposal for a new rule that would examine mandating airlines to compensate and cover expenses for customers facing controllable airline cancellations or delays. Now, also announced is that his department is launching an expanded airline customer service dashboard at flightrights.gov, which shows which airlines offer cash compensation, provide travel credits or vouchers, or award frequent flyer miles and cover the costs, meal credits, and other amenities. And to talk about that and more is U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Mr. Secretary, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back with you.
We were just talking off air. I think we're done with the snow, and but you're going to be making your way possibly through Chicago today, huh?
Yeah, I'm literally a frequent flyer when it comes to O'Hare, and there often. I know that weather challenges hit the Midwest in particular, but not every challenge or delay or cancellation is because of weather. So what we're doing right now is making sure that when an airline is responsible, when you get delayed or canceled and it's because of something the airline could have prevented, that there's accountability for that and that they meet their obligations to take care of passengers. We already made a lot of gains last year getting passengers more benefits in terms of things like vouchers, hotels, meals, taxis, that kind of thing. Now we're working on a rule that'll make sure that you get some kind of compensation as well when you wind up in that situation.
I was going to say, air travel can be stressful enough, especially when you're traveling with a family, and you're supposed to leave early in the morning. You're being moved from gate to gate, because I've seen so much of this on social media, and then it's 10 o'clock at night, and now your flight's canceled, and then you got to figure out what to do, kind of fend for yourself, support yourself financially through all this. But the airlines have to have some game in all this, right?
Well, that's just it. Look, we get that nobody controls the weather, but there are a lot of cancellations and delays that are because of something that is under the airline's responsibility. And when that's the case, passengers need to, first of all, know what you can expect, and we need to make sure that there are better benefits. So the whole idea of this website, flightrights.gov, is to make sure that you know what to expect before you commit to a ticket, because not all airlines are alike. So you want to go to that website that we have up, look at the green check marks and the red X's. You can go airline by airline on things from whether they will guarantee you can sit with your family without having to pay a fee for that, to the kinds of things that they will do to take care of you if you have a big delay or cancellation. So we want you to have that information before you buy a ticket. After you buy a ticket, you can use that to know your rights. And then we're advancing this rule because we want to make sure that there's a basic level of protection for every passenger instead of just asking the airlines to do it voluntarily.
Now, I will challenge you on this. I think Tom Skilling does in Chicago control the weather. I'm just telling you right now, he does.
But I've been wanting to meet that guy.
We'll make arrangements for that.
I should say, we're excited that there's so much more demand and so much more traffic in terms of people returning to the skies. Remember, just 2 years ago when this administration came in, the biggest question around airlines was whether they were going to go out of business. We stepped up. The president led the economic recovery and the specific legislation to keep the aviation sector in business. Now we're counting on the aviation sector to take care of passengers as they do return to the skies. And as folks are getting ready for summer travel, we want to make sure they have a better experience. Now, I want to say, so far this year, we have seen real improvements. And part of that, I think, reflects the work we've done at the FAA and our department. Part of it reflects the airlines finding ways to improve their service. Cancellation rates have stayed below 2% every month so far this year, but summer is going to put a lot of pressure on the system, which is why we're acting now.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, when you're booking a flight and you see a great flight, great price for like $249, and then by the time it ends up in your cart and you're paying for it, it's $370, whatever it might be. You're finalizing a separate rule this year requiring airlines to show the total cost of a flight, including the extra charges, add-ons like baggage, at the time of booking.
That's right. Look, you deserve to know when you're about to buy a ticket, especially a non-refundable ticket. You really need to know everything that's going into that. If there are any baggage or cancellation fees that they're going to hit you with after the fact, you want to know that while you're still comparing the different tickets and deciding the best value for money. So we're working on a rule that will require that. That can be technical. It's going to take a little bit of work to make sure the websites all show that kind of information. But you need that kind of information as a consumer to make a decision. So we've got a rule coming forward on that. We also have a rule that we're preparing to finalize on ancillary fees when you don't get the service. So if you paid extra for a bag or you paid for Wi-Fi and the bag doesn't get there or the Wi-Fi doesn't work, you got to get your money back. The same way we enforce your right to get your money back on your airfare if the flight itself gets canceled.
Absolutely. You're talking about summer travel, and air traffic control is about 3,000 controllers short as we head into this very busy travel season.
Well, first of all, we're hiring like crazy. We've got 1,500 air traffic controllers newly hired as part of this year's budget. We're in Congress asking for resources to bring on another 1,800. I do need to mention that the House Republican budget bill that passed a couple of weeks ago, if that actually became law and carried the day, we would be looking at cuts to air traffic control. We would actually have less than we have to work with now. There would be furloughs. Training would grind to a halt. Computer upgrades would grind to a halt. And I think it's important for everybody to know that because, of course, our view is we need to be doing more, not less. We need to be training and hiring more, not less. We're being very candid and transparent about some of the shortfalls between the staffing we have today and what we think is the optimal level of staffing. And we need to put the budget into that. I think it'll pay off. There will be a return on that investment because we'll have the economic benefits of an air traffic control system that works for everybody. But that doesn't just happen on its own. We have to make those investments, do the hiring, do the training. And that's exactly what we have underway at the FAA.
Before I let you go, so this interview is airing live on WGN Radio here in Chicago, one of the premier radio stations in the country, 101 years in the making. And there's a push right now from car manufacturers to remove AM and possibly FM radios from cars. And I think about this every day. Like, if there's an emergency, people do listen to the radio for information, and the cellular system has spots where coverage is bad. And in extended emergencies, the cell sites run out of battery power. Grids are down, especially during tornadoes and weather. Rolling Fork, Mississippi in March had tornadoes that plowed through there. And that's all really they had for communication, was to find out where the tornado was, what areas to stay out. Ford is the first U.S. gas engine vehicle manufacturer to say they're taking AM radios out of the car in their vehicles in 2024. And I'm not sure what role you can play in all this, but it could be an important one. I think AM radio serves as a linchpin of the infrastructure behind the National Public Warning System. We need those stations to be accessible in cars.
We think that radio matters. Over-the-air radio matters. We may not have a direct authority over this as the Department of Transportation, but it is something that I'm concerned about because there's not just cultural and economic benefit, but there is safety benefit to having that resource there, and certainly something we're concerned about.
U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. Pete, thank you again for your insight in all this and joining us once again on WGN.
Thank you. Good to be with you again.
Thank you, sir.